Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we are going over patch notes. Not just patch notes, but like reams of patch notes. This is going to be a long video. You know how long it's going to be, because, well, you know more than I do. You know the horrors that are coming. So I'd recommend making yourself a cup of tea or a coffee, or a glass of wine, and just sit down and maybe fill out your tax returns at the same time. We're going to be talking for the next, like, God, I don't know, 2 hours? You know better than I do, but it's going to take a long time. So get comfortable, okay? Get comfortable, and I will orate in the background, and we can all have a lovely time. So, patch 1.1. This is obviously a patch that people have been really looking forward to. There was sort of a blog post that was just teasing the patch a couple of weeks ago, which I covered a couple of details that I thought were a bit of a retreat from their sort of design decisions, their initial design decisions, which I thought was a bit of a shame, but we'll see how the whole patch sort of comes together as we go through the many pages of patch notes. So, should be fun. So, Evan Teixeira, which I think you did the last blog post. I want to say that that's a Portuguese surname. I still haven't looked it up. Is it Portuguese? Am I saying it right? It seems, that's what it seems to me, but I can't honestly say. But anyway, good day, Commanders. We are excited to bring you Update 1.1. Hooray! The first major game update that introduces a variety of gameplay, mechanics, crash and bug fixes, balance changes, and even new maps for the domination battlefield in Total War Warhammer 3. As the first major release, we've packaged a ton of work into the build and highlighted all the changes we've made in the notes below. For those of you who want an abbreviated version, here are the key features and fixes coming with today's build, which is so good that they've done a TLDR. Seriously, that is so good. It means a lot of you could just go, oh, okay, cool, I know the gist, and, you know, off you go. And that'll be fine. You won't have to sit here for, what was it, 8 hour long video, probably? Probably 8 hours, right? Yeah, you won't have to stay here for the 8 hours. So, numerous crash fixes and performance optimizations, always good. A major overhaul to the realm of chaos mechanics. I mean, we had a lot of those teased earlier. A much anticipated fix for a bugged interaction between the Everlasting Gift tech and the Gift of Slaanesh upgrade, whatever the hell that means. I haven't played a lot of Slaanesh. I'm not really sure what you guys were going on about with that. Much anticipated. I've not even heard of it, but it's nice that I won't have to ever encounter it. So hooray, hooray. A fix to ensure the supply lines value update properly when disbanding a lord. That I had heard about, and that was a bit of a problem. It was quite annoying. Supply lines, obviously the mechanic that the more armies you have, the higher upkeep is globally. It was not going down again when you had fewer armies, so that was a real problem. So, fixes for numerous issues, blocking players from completing the prologue. I mean, that's a pity. You really want people to be able to do the tutorial without bumping into bugs, especially if it's their first time playing, because they're just going to think that they did something stupid. Or that the game is a broken mess and refund it. Which, you know, fair enough, honestly. You know, you really want the prologue to... You want to put your best foot forward, right? So, good that they fixed that. A one-on-one training montage to bulk up the Demon Prince, aka Daniel. I don't know what that means, one-on-one training montage, but I guess we'll find out soon. Major adjustments to the Demons of Chaos gifts and gift sets. Interesting. The first improvement to unit responsiveness, with more coming later. That's great news. Unit responsiveness really just took an entire facet of gameplay out of the equation completely. You know, spells that had like a long wind-up time, it didn't matter. They would still hit you. It took a good 5 seconds to get out of the way. So there was no sort of reflex-based gameplay. Which meant that just having a solid line of like halberds and then a bunch of crossbows behind and you'd win every battle. And that was really boring, you know? That was sort of how you did it. You just made a big chunky thing because units were so slow to react. So you couldn't really do those sort of, you know, a lot of micro-intensive stuff. I mean, you know, to an extent, but certainly dodging spells was basically a lost cause. You're basically just setting yourself up to get hit with a spell and then stabbed in the back as you were trying to retreat, you know, moments later. So, not great. So good that that's being improved. So the units must now brace against a charging attacker for charge reflection to take effect. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer, so good that that's working as intended. Balance updates for most factions and several faction-specific units. So good, you know, always good to have additional balance tweaks. 2 returning domination battlefields, Arnheim and Battle for Itzer. So those are maps that used to exist in Warhammer 2 have been retooled for domination, which I think is lovely. I do like the idea of them continually just getting sort of interesting battlefields and retooling them for the new game mode. I think that's really fun. Though I haven't actually played any domination yet. I really should get into that, though it's still being tweaked a lot, so, you know. I'll wait till it's in good shape, I think, which this patch might do. So, major updates to the domination multiplayer mode, including larger starting armies and an update to supply mechanics, which is good. A lot of people were moaning that things like the mechanic for getting a oh, what's it called? I can't remember what the name of it, but like I said, I haven't played a lot of domination. It's a thing where you're in like when you're behind, and it gives you like a means to catch up. Apparently, that was really way too much, so you could end up just exploiting the hell out of that and getting way more resources than anyone could possibly get. So anyway, the detailed notes can be found below, including commentary from the teams and individuals who made the different changes. Now, this is a hugely important thing that I absolutely adore in patch notes. The idea of having commentary from the teams and individuals who did it, that is such a big deal to me. Because that shows the intent of their design. Whereas a lot of the time, you just see a change in a vacuum and go, that change sounds stupid, not taking into account all of the other changes, you know, dotted around the patch notes that have an impact on it, you know, that maybe you didn't see. So having people actually say, this is why we did a thing, and, you know, it should lead to this or whatever, that's great, and I love that, because I love hearing about design. I think it's great to get some real feedback from patch notes like that. So, give them a read while you're downloading the build. Oh, that's a good idea. Get the build downloading, because it will be available now. So, before we get out of your way, we have one final reminder. This is only the first update for Total War Warhammer 3. There are still many, many years set aside to continue the growth and evolution of the game, including new features, the Blood Pack, Immortal Empires, Redacted. I love that they're still calling it Immortal Empires. It's in quotes, so it's not a confirmation it's going to be called that, but they are just taking the community name and rolling with it, because people know that as, you know, they know that to mean the combined map, the upcoming combined map. So I like they're just rolling with it. So anyway, ongoing fixes, auto-resolve, siege battles, unit movement and sync animations, continued adjustments to balance for the Realm of Chaos, existing and new factions, and more. Even if you don't see something included in today's build, know that there are a variety of fixes in investigations and projects still being worked on, so they can be included in the game. Many of these are inspired by your discussions in the community, so continue to hold those discussions. We will keep working with you to paint a picture of what you'd like to see in Total War Warhammer 3 and continue building a game that we can all enjoy. Brilliant. Love it. Yeah, so many people are like, oh, it's been abandoned because there's a couple of mechanics they don't like. It's very weird. I really don't understand a lot of the discussions going on. People are just panicking because the game isn't infinite like Total War 2, Total War Warhammer 2 seemed to be. It's not a replacement yet. This isn't a replacement for Warhammer 2 yet. You've got to bear that in mind. When a combined map is in there and we have all the Total War, Warhammer 1 and 2 content in Warhammer 3, then it's a replacement for the game. Until then, it's just like a standalone expansion. Just here are some other campaigns you can play with some different mechanics, you know? But all the Warhammer 2 stuff, that still exists, only in that form. So, you know, some weird discussions in the community right now that just a lot of needless panic and worry. I've certainly got my money's worth out of Warhammer 3 already, so I've got nothing to complain about. But anyway, yeah, and then download the you know how to update your game. You just open the launcher and it'll update. Like, come on. Don't need that. If you do need that, then link in the description. So, game. As mentioned previously, the stability and performance of the game continues to be fundamental to a great experience as we work to ensure that everyone can play and enjoy Total War Warhammer 3. This is a long-term process that will continue to be a priority throughout the lifespan of the game, even while the campaign, factions and multiplayer setting begin to see their own adjustments, and especially as new mechanics, features and content are added on top of the base game. Stability and performance. You know, I need to worry about my stability and performance right now. I'm actually absolutely knackered today, by the way. I managed to, like, I don't know, just, like, put my back out yesterday. Just getting into bed, because apparently I'm 94 years old. And so I just couldn't sleep. My back was killing me all night. Now I'm fine. Now that I'm not trying to sleep, now that I'm trying to do something else, you know, now I could sleep. But I can't, I've got stuff to do. But yeah, ridiculous. So I got coffee instead of tea. Coffee's actually bad for your voice, by the way. Tea is good for your voice, though. Singers will tell you that. Maybe not all of them, but those ones are wrong. So, Fixed a crash when the game window lost focus, such as when alt-tabbing to another window. So good that's been fixed. A lot of people were moaning about that. I always use windowed borderless, so I never have that problem. Fixed a crash triggered after losing a caravan, saving the next turn, and then reloading the file. Oh, I never come across that one. Fixed a crash triggered when selecting a hero within an army, while moving that army to merge with another. Interesting. I hadn't come across that one either. Fixed a crash that could occur when, in a multiplayer campaign, set to allow simultaneous turns, a player exited the match during another team's turn. Fixed a crash triggered when a player queued movement command initiated a siege battle after ending the turn. Fixed a crash when attacking a sieging army. Fixed a severe performance hit when viewing Steam visual effects during a custom battle. That is important, actually. I noticed like a lot of sort of fog sort of effects, you know, whether it be steam or mist or however you want to characterize it, would always be obscenely poor. There are a bunch of Cathay maps where there's like a river running through the map, but like really like sunk into the ground. This big stream, and it's super misty. It looked amazing, but anytime it was even remotely in the field of view, my frame rates would just like halve. It was ridiculous. So hopefully that's addressed that as well. You know, hopefully it's not just custom battle, but just battles that have that, you know, visual effect. So we'll see. Fixed visual stuttering when vassalizing the Legion of Chaos as Slaanesh. Oh, interesting. Interesting that that's a thing, to get weird visuals just from vassalizing someone. That really shows the complexity of the game, because that seems so unrelated to visuals, you know? But anyway, implemented several optimizations to distance and overdraw in the game. Very cool, very cool. Graphics. Fix an issue where vegetation would appear dark when adjusting the game's graphics settings. Fix an issue which would result in white flickering lines appearing around mountain models on a campaign map. Fixed a visual issue when selecting Kislev war sleds. And in Tzeentch's realm, fixed a stretched texture that appears in the background geometry during the ambush battle. And in Tzeentch's realm again, added a missing skybox to the pre-battle loading screen. Audio. Updated the unit audio for lead belchers and iron blasters for a bigger punch. They didn't sound particularly punchy. The visuals were very punchy though, you know. Lead and spoons flying. Madness, absolute madness, those units. But yeah, not big sound, so that's nice. Nice they're still tweaking even stuff like that. So the UI. Fixed an issue which prevented accents from displaying properly in the lobby news feed, added a missing icon for an effect in the Wood Elf building tree, and added the correct category icon for the Herald of Slaanesh, brackets Shadow. I'm pretty sure I had the icon for Law of Death before. I want to say it was Death. But it was wrong, and now it's right, so we don't have to worry about it. So, you know, who cares what it was? It's gone now. Now it's proper. So, gameplay mechanics. We've changed how corrupted traits are removed in Total War Warhammer 3. So this isn't the Chaos Realm traits that I've mentioned, that I talked about in a previous video. Link in the description, maybe, if I've remembered that. Either way, it's on the channel, you'll find it. I have faith in you. So yeah, this is just if you happen to be... This was from like Warhammer 1 and 2 as well. If you're just in an area with high corruption, you get a thing that says, oh, you're bad now because you got corrupted. Just, you know, real simple. So corrupted traits are now removed as the corrupted character spends time in a province with lower levels of that particular type of corruption. This is indifferent to any other types of corruption in that province. So basically just need to be somewhere where your corruption isn't. That simple. So you could be in a place that has other chaos corruption, you know, or Skaven corruption or whatever, and that'll still help you get rid of the, say, you know, Tzeentch corruption traits that you have. So I like that. I like that. It just slowly scrubbed clean of whatever you had before. And, you know, obviously if you're in a place that's corrupted something else, then you're likely to pick up a trait for that anyway, so, you know, it'll evolve over time, which I like. So other changes to the gameplay mechanics. Fix an issue where the everlasting gift technology would remove some of the effects of the Gift of Slaanesh upgrade, rather than applying the correct bonuses. I don't know what that is, but that's fine, whatever. The issue's fixed, so if you had that issue, now you don't. The supply lines values now update properly when disbanding lords. Yep, covered that, good. Fix an issue where units docked in dockable areas would not adjust their firing arc, so they would continue firing at enemy units. Okay. Wait, is it saying that it wouldn't allow them to continue firing at enemy units? Is that what it was saying? Or did it not adjust their firing arc into the forward position that dockable units tend to have. I've noticed units do seem better at firing at whatever lately, from walls at least. So maybe dockable bits on the map that weren't walls weren't behaving properly. I don't know. Either way, they work as intended now, I guess. We'll just have to figure out what that's supposed to be. It's hard to tell. If something is a bit up in the air, like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, it's hard to know which one is it working and which one is the bug. You know what I mean? So anyway, fix an issue where handing off control of a second army joining a battle to the AI would prevent them from joining and prevent the battle from concluding. Oh, that's no good, because I really like that mechanic. But hey, it's fixed, so I don't have to care anymore. I love giving additional armies to the AI. It gives you sort of different gameplay challenges. It's less to fuss about with, so you can actually keep track of your own units better. But also, the AI is likely to get a bunch of your favourite units killed, because they're not as clever as you. So they're going to throw stuff into really terrible positions. So it's up to you to bail them out, so it leads to unique gameplay situations that I really enjoy. I really love it. So, fix an issue where heroes would no longer gain skill points after progressing past rank 40, which was their previous skill cap, which is interesting. So I guess that, yeah, it might have been stuck there in certain instances, which is interesting. So, fix an issue where the Firemouth settlement would provide the option to construct major settlement buildings rather than minor ones. Alright. Fix a bug where units stationed at an ogre camp located in hostile territory could not replenish their army. Oh, that's no good. Glad that's fixed. Removed several obstructions to the line of sight around tower construction points in the Grissenwald Empire. I think I know which map that is because I had actually reported a bunch of instances of that. There are a bunch of towers that you built them, but the buildings surrounding the towers were so tall that the tower would just be shooting into the rooftops of the buildings it was near, and it literally couldn't like shoot at the capture point that it was supposed to be defending. So it's really bad. So yeah, if that's fixed, that's brilliant. Love that. Really glad they've tweaked that stuff. So implemented fixes for several deployment and vanguard deployment zones in several maps. Cool. Fix an issue where losing a caravan would result in an inactive recruit caravan button for the following turn. Fix an issue with auto-resolve where attacking an enemy army in a settlement resulted in better outcomes than when the enemy army attacked the player. Okay. So if that's, well, is that better outcomes for us? I don't know, but either way, auto-resolve tweaks are good because auto-resolve is a bit squiffy currently. So, you know, that's Total War though. I can't remember a time where auto-resolve hasn't been a bit squiffy. Though it is nice that it's at least transparent now. It'll actually say, oh, you'll lose this stuff if you do it. So that does really forgive a lot of the squiffiness for me, just by default. Though, it would be nice if it's a little bit less squiffy. I don't like a squiffy auto-resolve. So, fixed issues in which hero buffs and recruitment rank buildings would fail to properly apply their bonuses. Well, that's no good. And I need some more coffee. I'm basically out of breath right now. I know, all I've been doing is talking, but whenever I'm tired, like, my sinuses act up, and I just can't breathe properly. So, you know, oh, you'll just have to bear with me. Just have to bear with me today, guys. So, fix an issue where the infinite winds of magic could be generated due to a rounding error. Okay, with reserves and recharge rates. I mean, that's nice, isn't it? Infinite winds of magic. Kind of sad to see that go, because that sounds like a lot of fun. So, fixed issues with Be'lakor skill tree, which resulted in certain skills unlocking the incorrect abilities. I mean, that's kind of fine. He starts at, what, rank 30 or something? 20? You know, you tend to get, like, all of the cool stuff on turn 1 when you get him anyway. But whatever. It's fixed. That's a good thing. So, fix an issue where attacking a settlement display a better auto-resolve outcome than when attacked by that settlement's army. Okay, that seems related to the other one, but sure. Fix an issue where the battle speed would switch to slow motion without any input during replays. I saw that being complained about so much that I haven't been relying on replays for anything in all of the Warhammer 3 content, so I just didn't bump into that. Most of the reason why I haven't been relying on replays is because so many people were complaining that they weren't reliable and that just stupid stuff kept happening within them, so, you know, I'm glad I dodged it, but I'm glad they're fixed now. You know, maybe I'll add some cinematics from time to time into various videos, we'll see. So, campaign prologue. We've implemented numerous fixes to issues encountered in the game's prologue. Fix an issue where the prologue could get stuck after the battle for Fort Devengard. Players should no longer be able to progress when ending a turn immediately after losing Yuri. Okay, that's good. Yuri will no longer hop in place following the Scream Chasm trigger, whatever that means. Players should no longer have their progression blocked by accidentally deselecting the settlement before completing the Lord Recruitment Guide. Okay, good. Players should no longer have their progression blocked by selecting a settlement during the Demon Encounter Guide. Fixed an issue which would prevent the player from progressing after capturing the Claw Reach. Fixed an issue that would prevent the player from progressing upon completing their battle with the Wolf. I think I had that bug once, actually. I think that's where I had it. It's a sort of a soft lock. Events wouldn't trigger. And so I was just stuck, not being able to do anything. But yeah, that happened a couple of times with me in the prologue when I was playing it, so, you know, good these things are getting ironed out. Fixed a crash when trying to skip the camera fly-through at the start of the campaign, and added a link to the Shields tooltip that appears during the first battle with Tzeentch. Cool. Next up, Realm of Chaos. This is obviously something that's been very contentious for a lot of people, so let's see what they've done. Numerous changes have been made to the Realm of Chaos Souls race to allow for more flexibility in how you approach the race, counteract enemies as they pursue souls, and the conditions inflicted upon lords who enter the realm. So this is something that I was moaning about in a video recently. And a lot of people actually, I think, misinterpreted that video. I was moaning at you guys. Yeah, you know, you guys broadly speaking, the community. Because a lot of people were just saying, oh, brilliant, they've made these traits, you know, better. They weren't making them better, they were just making you encounter them less, but they were still bad. So they had this interesting design space that instead of retooling it into something that is more enjoyable, they've just made you encounter it less. So now it's just something that still sucks, but less often, which it still sucks. It just means that, yeah, it just doesn't really do anything. You may as well, like the natural course, if you're just going to follow that thread of like, we'll just make it worse, you know, we'll make it less bad, you know, we'll make the worst thing happen less often. The natural conclusion to that is just to remove the thing entirely. So just remove the traits entirely if you're going to do that. So this might give some faith that, yeah, it's going to fix things. That, you know, they're still holding on to it because they want to retool it in future, and that's what I'm hoping for. But what I don't want is for the community to say, oh, this is great, yeah, great changes, because it's not. It's a half measure. It's an absolute half measure. I'd hate for the developers to go, okay, well, they seem satisfied with that. I guess we won't bother retooling it, because, you know, it's not a mechanic they like to engage with. So rather than turning it to a mechanic they like to engage with, which takes work, they'll just get rid of it, you know, and I'd hate for that to happen. So I don't want people cheerleading the removal of this mechanic when it could be a mechanic that's interesting. You see what I mean? So, you know, it's your fault that we have this. So, reduce the effect of negative traits inflicted upon entering the Realms of Chaos by minus 50%. So like I said, it's half as annoying, but it's still annoying. So, you know, just half as much. Demon Legendary Lords will no longer be inflicted by the negative traits within the realm of their respective Chaos God. So, you know, if you're Scarbrand, you're not going to go, oh no, I'm all Khorne corrupt and I've gone Khorne crazy. He's already Khorne crazy. He's the living embodiment of Khorne crazy. And that's supposed to be a positive thing, but it's not. And that's kind of the problem. So if these traits were more multifaceted, you know, had some positive stuff in there as well, then you wouldn't want anyone to be missing the chance to get those, you know, to get the choice of having those, I suppose. But anyway, you know, the choice of keeping them, or trying to prolong the amount you can keep them. We'll see, anyway. We'll see. So, negative traits inflicted by the Realm of Chaos will now be removed when a Legendary Lord completes a survival battle within that realm. So really, you're only being punished for failure rather than success, which I don't really like. You know, I know you're supposed to be rewarded for doing good, but not when it's just like a negative trait. Say you were here, you know, you were in the Chaos Realm, you're all broken now. Because if you fail, you're already behind, so just compounding failure in a way that's not going to be satisfying. It's just going to feel a bit like you're cheated. You're probably more likely just to load a save than to carry on, because it's just going to feel needlessly punishing when you're already in a bad mood. Fun should be the priority, you know what I mean? I know a lot of people are just like, oh, well, no, there's ways to counteract it, just don't be bad or whatever, but, like, it should be fun. It's that simple. It's a game. Make it fun. This doesn't feel very fun. Although, you know, doesn't feel very fun if you lose, I guess, which, you know, Anyway, upon intercepting an AI faction at the Forge of Souls, the Legendary Lord will now lose their souls rather than being wounded for 15 turns. This will force them to collect their souls over again. That I love. That I think is really good. A lot of people were saying that's too much, because it basically means that they're functionally not in the race anymore, and that's actually fine. You know, that's basically fine, because there's so many people racing that, yeah, you might knock one AI out of the race, but then you've got a bunch of other people hot on their heels, you know, that are going to be trying to attempt, you know, that final battle as well. So you're going to be fighting a bunch of different factions. So instead of just fighting the same one over and over and over again, and then with increasing numbers of other factions joining in, yeah, just one, and then they're at the back of the queue, which I think makes a lot of sense. And if you are keen to just not do the final battle, then it means you'll just have these intermittent, you know, every 100 turns, if you haven't been able to deal with those guys, you get to fight them again, which I guess is, you know, is going to make very little difference, I think, to most campaigns. But it keeps them out of the way. But if you are really, really prolonging your campaign, then yeah, you'll see them again. And I think that's nice. I like that. It keeps them engaged with something. So the protection chain of buildings can now be constructed to prevent rifts from spawning in the province in which they are built. So the the protection chain of buildings, that's the stuff that like keeps an eye on Skaven undercities, things like that. So that also helps scrub your negative traits from your characters, which is going to lead to this quite odd position where the best way to get rid of your traits will be to, because you get brought back into the mortal realm where you were sent there, which will be in a place where there was a rift, and if there's a rift there, it means there wasn't a protection building there. So you'd have to then sort of teleport back in and then travel to a neighbouring province to scrub yourself of the chaos trait if you failed, which again is just sort of compounding failure and just sort of wasting your time, which is a bit annoying, but ah well. But hey, there you go. You have some way to control if rifts spawn now, and in a way it kind of makes another building more useful, which I quite like, because I have been ignoring that chain of buildings completely, because Skaven just aren't really a problem, and as far as I can tell, they don't actually build underways. They don't build, not underways, they don't build undercities at all, it would seem, in Warhammer 3. So, you know, of course they will once they're properly implemented in the game, you know, with the combined map and everything, but right now they don't seem to do that, so that building is mostly pointless. So, you know, it's whatever. So, completing a survival battle will now also provide the winning faction with the following benefits for 10 turns. Plus or minus 5 for the winning faction's corruption across all provinces. Okay. Plus 8 control across all provinces. Plus 15 growth across all provinces. And plus 10% income across all provinces. I mean, that's fine, I guess. You know, I don't think we really needed a reward at the end. So this is something I was talking about in a video as well. So the idea of rewarding people for success, the success should be in completing the narrative. And a lot of people go, oh, the narrative's stupid. Well, that should be the thing that's addressed. You shouldn't be paying people for indulging in a mechanic people aren't enjoying. You should reward people by making the mechanic rewarding. So this is a bit of a half measure. I know that most of the people who I think are complaining wrong will be happy, so at least they'll stop complaining. So, you know, I'm happy with that. But, you know, I think this is a bit of a, again, it's sort of the wrong way to fix this, because it's not really fixing it, it's a patch. But I guess this is a patch, and this isn't a big content patch that's dropping a bunch of new mechanics and things, so scope is an issue. But again, I don't think this is something that we should all applaud massively. It will make the game better, but it's not something we should say, yes, you did it. No, this should be, yes, this is keeping me appeased for now. I can't wait to see what you do with it later. That should be the statement. It should be, this is a great to keep us, you know, to sate our issues, but the issues aren't addressed yet. We think you could do something better than this. Because I think they can. I think Creative Assembly are absolutely capable of making a lot of these mechanics really cool. You know, really interesting. They have a brilliant base for tweaking this stuff into interesting shapes. So I can't wait. But we need to let them know that this isn't enough for us. Okay? So, additional adjustments made to the following realms. Tzeentch's realm. I mean, that one's always changing, so makes sense. Options offered during dilemmas triggered at points of interest will now provide replenishment. Okay. Yeah, no, I like that. That's good, because that sort of is the same with Khorne's items. When you pick up any of his items, you get full replenishment for everybody. So very, very cool to have that in Tzeentch's Realm now. Tzeentch's Realm, Boon from Tzeentch. This option offered by the Dilemma now properly displays its rewards when it appears. Oh, is that not properly showing its rewards? Because I feel like I was never keen to get anything from Tzeentch. I just ignore those nodes because it just slows you down, which is another problem that I hope they tweak later, but whatever. I have another video talking about that, just go watch that. So, Nurgle Realm. The attrition resistance effects granted by points of interest now last 20 turns, instead of for the duration spent in the realm. This means that the boon can now also be carried back to the mortal world. That's an interesting one. I like that, actually. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So if you spend too long in Nurgle's Realm, you're not going to be able to make the best use of those attrition resistances. But also, you know, if you do speed through, then you get a reward that you earned, rather than a reward that is sort of arbitrary. It's not a bribe, there's some strategic element there. If you rush through, then maybe you can use that, you can utilize that thing, which I think that's the way to do it, you know? That's the way to do bonuses from the Realms of Chaos, I think. You know, some agency over it. You can actually impact its usefulness, which is good, you know, how you decide to use it. So I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Nurgle Realm. Flying units can no longer be deployed atop the Nurgle Island environment prop. Okay. Sure. Don't know what that means, but sure. Players can no longer replace the legendary lord of an army with a regular lord when at the Forge of Souls. Oh, that's very silly that was a thing you could do. I'm not sure why anyone would do that, though. Oh, actually, no. With Daniel, you probably would, right? Because he can't actually carry any weapons, so you can actually make a generic, like, I say generic, you're flipping Bloodthirster lord, you know, an exalted Bloodthirster with all of the awesome swag that he picked up on the campaign. It would probably work better than having Daniel, because he can't carry items. You're at the mercy of what body parts he gets, and most of them aren't as good as a lot of the equipment you can find. So, you know, it can be a bit tough there. Although it did say some things got changed, so we'll see. So, where are we? Fixed a rare issue, which would result in the Forge of Souls Rift being closed despite having access to the final battle. Okay, sure. Well, that's gone now, so yay. After completing the campaign, the player will now be given the option to banish Be'lakor. That's really good. A lot of people have been asking for this. I myself wanted that because I wasn't of a mind that getting Be'lakor made no sense. People just said flatly, it makes no sense. Of course it does, but it depends on how you've played the campaign. It depends on your headcanon, it depends on the decisions you've made. The idea of like, oh, well, Tsarina Catherine would never have Be'lakor. She's spent a lot of time in the Realm of Chaos. You could easily be role-playing that she has gone completely corrupt. You could be playing as a bloodthirsty lunatic. She's already pretty tyrannical, let's be honest. Most of the events in Kislev are some peasants who are a bit, you know, they saw something a bit chaosy. Let's murder them all. Like, you know, just in case. Like, it's so ruthless. It's so easy to say that she got corrupted by chaos because, you know, someone who is so absolute in their power thinks that they can control power absolutely and would think, yeah, I can harness Be'lakor for the greater good, isn't it? I can handle it. It's so easy to make that leap. And yet some people go, no, she's a good person, she wouldn't do that. Everyone would do that. Like, it's Warhammer. People suck, and everyone's selfish. If they are offered power, they usually take it. That's the whole point of chaos. That's how chaos exists. It's because people are fallible. And I think playing as a character who has saved the world, but at great cost to themselves, to the point where they're accepting Be'lakor into their lives, in order to wield him for what they see as, you know, good. It wouldn't be, obviously. I think that's totally feasible. And now that we have the choice, if you are playing goody-goody, then yeah, you just get rid of him, fine. I think the option is what would have made it, you know, more important. Because you could easily just be role-playing as someone who's completely ruthless and evil and would take any opportunity for power. Because, you know, that's every character in Warhammer. So it's just not an argument. If you're of a mind of getting Be'lakor makes no sense, then stop it. You're wrong. Okay, that's just, you don't understand Warhammer if you think that's the case. But yeah, a choice is great, because that way you can really go, no, my character, my campaign, right, my legendary lord was like this. You know, they stayed strong, they stayed true to, you know, worshipping the good gods and would never do any of this. They understand the problems with making deals with chaos, and so they never would. And that's great. I love they have the option now. So this is a good change. This is a good change. So this will provide the following permanent benefits. +3 hero capacity for all heroes. I guess all hero types. You know, it's not like each hero gets a +3 hero capacity for all, because then that would compound forever. Anyway, +14 hero and lord recruit rank. That is beefy. +5 winds of magic per turn for all armies, +7 control across all provinces, +25 growth across all provinces, and +15% income across all provinces. Now this I love, this I think is really good, because generally I don't care much about bonuses at the end of the campaign because I stop playing, but for those who do keep playing, it means that they get a nice beefy reward if they do want to paint the map, you know. It means that if they are just in the sort of I don't know, if they're just playing a domination campaign, they just want to take it over the world, they're still now encouraged to do the story, you know, so it breaks up the monotony of just getting a couple of stacks, placing them next to a settlement, have one attack, auto-resolve, move on to the next. You know, now there's a bit more stuff to do. You're still going to engage in the rifts and engage with these other systems, which I think is really good, you know, or at least you don't have to, but you're encouraged to. There's, you know, a reason to now that'll help you do your goal, you know, your other goal that you've sort of made for yourself, which I really like. I think that's fun. So one additional change made to the Lord. Be'lakor now has a starting trait that grants access to his unique battle ability, Shadow Shroud, rather than it being granted by default. Okay then. And an additional fix for the campaign. Fixed an issue where completing a campaign and clicking continue to the records would replay Be'lakor's first voiceover line rather than the proper line. Okay, sure. I hadn't noticed that, but I don't know, maybe that was always happening. Maybe I just thought that was supposed to happen, I really don't know. So, Demons of Chaos. We felt that the demons, the Demon Prince, aka Daniel, was underperforming in battles against enemy lords. Yeah, see, did I tell you? It would be good to swap him out in the last battle. So we've adjusted his base stats and moved some other values around to bolster his terrifying presence on the battlefield. So his melee attack has been doubled. Melee defense has been more than doubled. His base damage has gone up. A moderate amount from 200 to 225. Armor piercing damage increased from 200 to 225. Armor increased from 10 to 20. And charge bonus increased from 30 to 40. That's kind of insane, actually. So his base stats are much higher. So no matter how you build him, he's just going to be stronger in general, which is really nice. To accommodate for his higher base stats, we've reduced the effect values of the starting gifts available to the Demon Prince when starting a new campaign. So all of these you're going to swap out really quickly, but it means that anything you give to him will be a nice meaty upgrade. So that's going to feel much more rewarding, I think, as well as just having, you know, you can have a tougher starting lord, which I think is great, because he should be. He's a demon of chaos. He's a demon prince, you know, so he should be really good. So marker chaos, torso, reduced melee defense, muscular arms, melee attack. It no longer gives you a melee attack bonus. Muscular arms, right arm removed the base weapon damage bonus. Demon legs, really, demon legs are legs. Good to know. Remove the charge bonus. Demon Tail removed melee defense. Deathbringer Blade hand weapon base damage has been increased actually by 5%, and the Deathbringer Blade hand weapon increased armor piercing damage from 10% to plus 15%. So okay, cool. I like it. Right, Demons of Chaos demonic progression offerings. So few new abilities tucked in there by the looks of it. So we've increased the values of the pre-dedicated demonic progression offerings bundles to keep them all balanced. Okay, the post-dedication offerings also have been buffed some extra power as you dedicate yourself to your chosen god, your chosen chaos god, including buffs to the god-specific recruitment ranks of units, agents, and lords. This should shorten the time it takes for your lords to reach their exalted forms. Lovely. Also, I think this is really cool that they're doubling down on things when you really do go all in with a particular god. That should really make you feel like you've gone all in with that god, rather than just like the more powerful units becoming available where you just sort of accent your armies with those things. You know, it should just give broad sweeping changes to really encourage you to go, you know, to go all in, basically, with your armies, to really lean into that theme. Because that's the thing, I kind of see the Demon Prince as like a tutorial for the demons. So you play around with a bunch of the different demon units, to just get like a broad idea of what all of those armies are like. And then by the end, you kind of go, you know what, I really love the Khorne stuff. I'm going to go all in with Khorne, you know. Or other gods are available. So, you know, I think that's really fun to sort of really encourage people to do that with bigger bonuses. So, you know, we'll see how far it goes, I suppose, when I read this stuff. So, offering number 8 to all gods increased the dedicated god-specific lord recruitment rank from +3 to +10. So you can basically get new lords for all your armies at that point and not feel too bad about it, which is very cool. Increase the dedicated god-specific agent recruit rank from +3 to +10. Is that just the exact same thing again? Oh, that's agent recruitment. Silly me. So yeah, lords and agents are both getting higher levels. Also, reduce the dedicated god-specific unit recruitment time by 2 turns. So you can recruit units of that god really quickly. That's really fun. For Khorne, offering 8, removed the +10% casualty replenishment bonus. Don't like that much. I think there should be more casualty replenishment. Though maybe that's changed later on. Let's see. Khorne, offering number 8, added a +25% buff to campaign movement range after winning a battle. That's really cool. So that lets you actually play a bit more like Scarbrand if you've gone all in. With Khorne. So that's really cool. So Nurgle, offering 8, removed the building cost reduction bonus. Okay, but added a +20% global replenishment bonus to Nurgle units. Again, really important to just play as Nurgle if you've gone all in with Nurgle to get that replenishment bonus. Really cool. Slaanesh, offering increased the diplomatic relations with all factions from +10 to +25. I mean, that doesn't seem like a huge thing, but I don't know. Maybe it's a lot more powerful in practice than I have really explored myself. But anyway, Tzeentch's offering number 8 removed the chance to increase the strength of the Winds of Magic when changing. Okay, but increased the chance to strengthen the Winds of Magic skill from +10% to +25%. And offering number 9 for all gods, increased the dedicated god-specific unit recruitment rank for all armies from +3 to +6. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's, yeah. And especially with the recruitment rank down as well. Oh, that's actually, wait, hang on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for the all gods bonus. So, yeah. So, all gods, you can get higher recruit rank very quickly, which I really like. That's cool. Although, that does mean I did mix this up, actually, because this is offering to all gods. This is when you don't dedicate yourself to a specific one that you get cheaper recruitment times. That doesn't actually encourage you to lean into, you know, the one you chose. That just means all demons will be getting churned out quicker, which is still good, and that's a nice way to actually make the all gods bonus worthwhile, because, you know, it just helps you across the board with a nice strong bonus. So fair enough. Demons of Chaos, Demon Prince's gift sets. We've not only added a missing upgrades ability to the undivided sets, but made some additional adjustments to balance these sets alongside the other balance changes to the Demons of Chaos. The Armoured Prince of Chaos, equipping the set, now grants an upgraded version of the Mortal Blow ability. The Armoured Prince of Chaos removed the +10 Glory Gain bonus. Also increased the Leadership Aura size from +25 to +50%. The Scorched Prince of Chaos also, a lot of things on the Armoured... oh, actually no, the Scorched Prince on the Armoured Prince, silly me. The Scorched Prince of Chaos, it's just lots of Princes of Chaos, you know. Equipping the set now grants an upgraded version of the Mortal Blow ability. And Scorched Prince of Chaos also removed the +10% Glory Gain bonus. The Adorned Prince of Slaanesh reduced the recruitment rank for Slaanesh units from +4 to +3. Demons of Chaos, Demon Prince gifts. Fixed a bug where Tzeentch head items had transmutation of lead instead of final transmutation, which resulted in certain arm and head upgrades offering the same spell. I had noticed that. I was like, this seems a bit redundant. So I'm glad to hear that that was a bug and they fixed it. Very pleased to hear that. So as the Demon Prince only had access to minor spell variants, we've added the Overcast variants to gifts that already provided the base spell. Numerous balance tweaks have also been made to the gifts offered upon dedicating to one of the Chaos Gods. Wow. Okay, I mean, do I really have to go over this? I mean, it's a pile. It's just a pile. I mean, it's everything. Every body part has had minor tweaks to it. Generally upwardly, okay? Just every body part is a bit more powerful now. That we'll just call it that, okay? We'll just say that. There's really no need to go over all of this. It just keeps going, huh? Just keep going. But yeah, no need to go over all that because you guys aren't going to remember it. No one's going, oh, this particular item. No, you'll just go to UI and you'll pick the stuff that makes him the best and whatever. You know, all the utility stuff is still going to be the same, so who cares? Except I guess there's more utility now because the siege spells now give you upgraded versions. So, you know, there's that too. Or it's just spells in general. Whatever, spells are better now, so everything's basically the same, just better. So enjoy. Like, I'm not going to go over all of that. So, general fixes. Fixed an issue where narrative events would continue to trigger after completing a campaign, including rifts reopening in the world. Yeah, that was very frustrating for a lot of people, for sure. Because that's just flatly wrong. Yeah, but hey, that's fixed, so that's good. But again, like, these little bugs, these things crop up a lot. Just generally, you know. And I think a lot of people seem to think that that was, like, intended, and that the design was just crap, but no, like, it was obviously a bug. And there you go, it's fixed. I have seen people complain about it, like, you know, what are they thinking? Well, they weren't thinking to put in a bug. You know? And they, oh, should we put that bug in? Yeah, let's do that. You know? So, yeah, it's just bizarre. But anyway, I think this patch is going to really cheer up a lot of people. I think it's going to cheer up a lot of people. There's a lot of fixes here. Also fixed an issue where Boris would not be created as a new faction and does not appear in the Lord's recruitment pool after completing the Frozen Falls. So that's, you know, Tsar Boris. So that's good that he's going to exist now when he wasn't before. Battles. So, spells. Ooh, okay, so a lot of... yeah, a lot of behavioural changes and stuff here, which is very cool to see. I prefer these big sweeping changes to, like, systems in battles rather than just, like, you know, Jeff does +2 damage now. It's like, well, good for Jeff, but that's a bit boring. I'm never going to notice that. So anyway, in Total War Warhammer 3, we've heavily reworked how Vortex, Wind, Breath, and similar spells work from the earlier games in the series. One of the biggest changes relating to the damage reduction applied over distance, which has been removed entirely in Warhammer 3. This results in drastically increased damage potency across the board, which naturally required a rebalance of every single spell in the game. Unfortunately, there was one spell which was missed when implementing the new system, the effects of which have now been reduced to bring it in line with the rest of the spells, Penumbral Pendulum. The one that was so overtuned, it was obviously broken. So, yeah, I'm glad they fixed that. Nope, I'm not going to sneeze. Or am I? Stay tuned. So, anyway, Penumbral Pendulum base reduced damage dealt from 72 to 36. AP cost remains at 50%. And Penumbral Pendulum Overcast reduced the damage from 108, which is 66% armor piercing, to 45. 6% armor piercing. So that's really, really huge. Huge drop. A huge drop. So, pretty cool. Unit responsiveness. The responsiveness of units as they join and engage with enemies on the battlefield is a notable pain point for players. Yeah. As a starting point, we've included several bug fixes with today's build, which should begin to improve the responsiveness of melee and ranged units. So one thing with the responsiveness, what was really, I think, the worst thing about this particular issue is that it's most noticed by the people who are so the biggest fans of the franchise. They're the people with the most experience, because if they are moving things with, like, you know, pinpoint timing and precision, and it's not, the game just says no, then that's a much bigger deal, whereas newer players are less likely to be in a position where they're, like, moving out the way of spells in the nick of time and stuff, right? You know, they're just not going to have that sort of situational awareness, and so it's really awful for, like, competitive players and all sorts that just are so used to being able to sort of just play quickly, you know, like, use their own sort of awareness of the situation to avoid the biggest hits and charges and whatever, and then suddenly you can't do that anymore, and It seems that, you know, skills are no longer rewarded like they were. So very serious problem with a game such as this, and way more noticeable at sort of the higher levels of play, which I think is just the worst, you know, for that. It's really, really painful to not have those skills rewarded. So yeah, great they're addressing it. Let's see how they've done it. So improved how infantry units react to orders and face to turn enemies. Their behaviour should now match the responsiveness of infantry units in Total War Warhammer 2. Good. That's all I ever wanted. They were very responsive in Warhammer 2. I loved it. It felt really good, actually, Warhammer 2. Like, the unit movements and everything were really, really good. Fixed an issue which caused ranged units to fire slower when docked on a siege wall or similar structure. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. I rarely dock things because I was relating to that earlier bug about them not changing their facing. Usually I just assumed that they'd be locked into that, you know, that triangle, right? Into that sort of range cone. And that they wouldn't just turn to shoot if they were all lined up like that, with that sort of permanent facing, you know, 90 degrees from the wall. Apparently they do. Apparently that they do actually aim different directions, so maybe I'll use it more. unless that bug was that they were turning, they shouldn't. And I was doing it assuming that they were working the way that they're supposed to. I don't know. We'll have to find out, I guess. So that's fun. That'll be a fun experiment. So, fix an issue which would cause ranged units to reset their animations without having fired. So that's a big delay. That's a big delay. You go, don't fire, you know, turn a bit, or, you know, enemy slightly out of range, or zipping back and forth a bit, or you end up in a position where someone ducks behind a unit, so suddenly line of fire is blocked. They just sort of sit there doing this so much with their guns, and they end up wasting so much time. So, yeah, that's really good to know that's getting fixed. Yeah, especially for units like Iron Hail Gunners. I noticed that a lot. Sometimes they'd be mega effective, and sometimes they would just be doing this little dance, which would waste so much time, you know? And with that short range of theirs and the bad firing arc, you really need them to blast anything in view. So if they're wasting their time like that, you lose a lot of damage potential. So, yeah, hopefully that'll be better. That'd be fun. They're already very good, but yeah, could be a bit silly. Locked control groups will no longer enter guard mode when receiving an attack order. Okay, is that what was happening? God, like, I've just guard mode. A lot of those little toggles, the things you can change in the options, change what's default. It kept seeming like stuff like that kept breaking because of weird... I don't know, it just seemed like the game would ignore your settings. So the fact that those different modes are just triggering randomly, just from, you know, playing the game without actually doing anything about guard mode, yeah, all kinds of annoying. So I'm glad that's fixed. That might actually solve a lot of problems. There are still a handful of issues we'll be looking to solve in future updates, including the responsiveness of airborne units transitioning to the ground, how units disengage from combat, and knockdown behaviour. For now, let us know what you think about the above fixes, and if anything else appears off. So yeah, that feels really significant. Like, those feel like really significant changes. They really do. So, general fixes. The charge reflection attribute will now require units to be braced against the charging attacker in order to take effect. Good. So, braced, for anyone who's, you know, like, a bit confused about that. Probably less confused, actually, if you will have a 3-player, which is what this is a patch for. But it used to be, you would just know it, right? You just know if they were or not. Because, you know, you had that information. Now there's actually a little shield icon on your guy to say that they're braced, and that really takes the guesswork out of it. But they do have to be facing the thing that's charging them for them to be braced against that thing. If you're braced and then you get attacked in the flank or the rear, you're not going to get the benefit of that bracing. So, you know, that's important. That's important to know. Right, fix an issue where defending units would use the attacker's mass rather than their own mass for impact damage calculations, which broke everything. Because it meant the heavier the thing was attacking, the more defense the enemy had against them, so it was just completely irrelevant, basically. So it ended up in a weird position where I think that might be what was causing the weird reversal of damage, because something would charge in, do nothing, because their damage had been basically mitigated by the mass equation, and then they just get stabbed. So, you know, it was a bit bizarre. But anyway, fix an issue where attacker reinforcements would enter from within the defender's city. That's always a shame, because that feels like sappers. I think that'd be really fun. Actually, that'd be a really cool ability to have it so you had an army with, like, a sapping skill that would always turn up as reinforcements in the enemy's army, in the enemy's, like, you know, side. I think that'd be really funny. I think that'd be really cool. I kind of want that implemented now. You know, maybe just for, like, maybe they'll do a Skaven Legendary Lord that can do that. Because that would be awesome. That would be really fun. Although also really difficult to have. Now I wonder. Because it'd be really difficult to have something rely on having another Lord present. That'd be a real shame. Because you'd always have to have 2 armies to take use of, you know, to make use of that. Unless it's like a faction thing, then you don't necessarily need that particular army. Anyway, it could be cool. It's a cool idea. Someone go make that. Thanks. So, fix an issue where defending units... oh yeah, that one I've read. Army reinforcements. Here we go. Army reinforcements should now correctly enter a battle according to their position on the campaign map, relative to the battle. So, I did notice it was a bit wonky at times. Generally, it was quite good. This is something that was always a huge problem in Warhammer 2. And so the fact that they've got this general bug fix, when it already felt completely fixed, in comparison to Warhammer 2, that was always a bit weird, or just sort of throw armies all over the place. So it definitely felt much better, but it's good to know they've made further tweaks to make sure that it's working 100% of the time, hopefully. Hopefully. If not, just more often is good. Step in the right direction. In domination and survival battle, summoned units will no longer offer a refund after being teleported away from the battlefield. Oh, okay. I didn't really know that was a thing, but that's fine. Oh, I have heard you can exploit the crap out of that, but I guess you can't now, so that's good. General fixes. Exalted Lord of Change, Lords now have access to the Greater Arcane Conduit ability in their skill tree as intended. Good, good. I saw a lot of people complaining about that, and it makes a lot of sense, because it's the Lord of Change, for God's sake. So, you know, best spellcasting demon. So, you know, arguably best spellcaster. Arguably. I know a lot of people will argue the Slan or whatever, but, you know, either way, Greater Arcane Conduit is kind of a must there. Ogre Kingdoms, Iron Blasters. We envision this unit to be a bit more of a mobile shotgun platform rather than a sniper artillery piece. For example, flanking followed by shooting down the length of infantry units. The below changes aim to push it more in this direction. Okay, that's very cool. So projectile spread increased from 7 to 3. 3 is a smaller number. So that's a strange increase, but it could just be that the spread, the higher the number, the more accurate it is. Maybe, I don't know, but either way, if it's a bigger spread, then yeah, it's going to be less accurate over long distance, and yeah, sounds good. Reduced the damage dealt by each projectile from 84 to 75, and reduced the AP of each projectile from 336 to 300. So basically, it'll still murder anything it touches in terms of like infantry and the like. But it's going to benefit from hitting a broad range of stuff rather than all the projectiles hitting in the same spot. So it'll hit more infantry and do far fewer hits on any single target, because you're only likely to hit them with maybe one of the projectiles rather than the lot of them. So that should fix that. Also, Iron Blasters, they're really good in melee as well. They've got good like anti-infantry and armor piercing. So you really want them to be like out in the front line rather than just way back. So I like the idea of them actually getting more involved. Or sort of, you know, you don't have to be shy about getting them more involved. So that sounds great. I think that's a good change. I mean, a simple change to this would be to reduce their range as well. I think that would be quite a simple one. But I don't know. I guess if they can shoot really far but just miss everything, it does give you a chance to sort of gamble a bit, to just sort of hit some infantry and stuff. But I don't know. We'll see. Gorges. Gorges are expected to quickly smash through light and medium infantry, though we expect them to be vulnerable to ranged fire. I'm assuming ranged fire, beaten handily by anti-large units, and trade moderately with anti-large heavy infantry. Reducing the AP damage and entity count should help them reach this balance. Okay, so Gorges, they now do significantly less armor-piercing damage, from 70 down to 50, and there's only 12 per unit instead of 16, which, yeah, I think that's probably a good shout. They were definitely performing too well, which was fine when I was playing a Scrag campaign, because they were kind of supposed to be performing really good. They're like his, his choice units, right? But yeah, in multiplayer and things, they were just cleaning up every time. They were really overpowered, especially vulnerable to ranged fire. Yeah, but only if you can see them. They have stalk, so usually they're like in combat before you can get troops to bear. It's a lot easier to have them just avoid ranged fire if the ranged units can't turn to meet them at any point. Although, unit responsiveness should also help combat them. Because, you can turn your ranged units around quicker and start shooting them. So that's also, very beneficial. But, yeah, they were overperforming. Also, general fixes. Oh, thank God I complained about this a lot. It was so sad not to have. But yeah, fix an issue where garrisoned Firebelly heroes would not receive their spells in battle. So it's like, oh great, I have a spellcaster. It can't do anything. Fun. But yeah, this is much better. Ogre Kingdoms for multiplayer only. On the multiplayer front, the Ogre Kingdoms have been overperforming in both the matchmaking and tournament settings. We're having a tough time gauging the power level of other units, while Gorges and Iron Blasters control the meta, even forcing the creation of tournament rules to account for their power. Yeah. So Iron Blasters now multiplier cost increased from 1400 to 1750, which I think makes a lot of sense. 1400 seems way too cheap for a unit like Iron Blasters. So yep, that's good. And Ogre Giants now count as a rare single entity for the sake of unit caps. Okay. I mean, I don't play multiplayer anymore, but, so I'm having to really go back and get my head in the game here. So I don't know if this is because Ogre Giants were really good, or they're just trying to make it that'll take the space of some other units as well. I don't know. Or it could be that was a bug, because they should be a rare single entity, shouldn't they? It's kind of a weird one with Ogres, though, because they're all big boys, so it feels like most things, if they were in a different roster, would count as like a rare single entity, right? So, Anyway, we'll be continuing to monitor the power of Ogre Kingdoms following these changes, and we'll adjust accordingly. For Grand Cathay, we found that Grand Cathay has several underperforming units that seem to struggle in most situations. Sky Junks, Sky Lanterns, and the Whooshing War Compasses, which are three of the most unique and interesting units, which makes this very sad that they're underperforming. We made some adjustments to the first two units across the board, and have reduced the multiplayer cost of the Whooshing War Compasses. Good. So they could be deployed more effectively. I mean, the Whooshing War Compasses, they do have great, they have spells, which is great. But as just like a unit, they really are doing a similar role to something like the corpse carts and stuff. They don't quite feel like this really impressive thing. But yeah, anyway, we'll see what they've done. So Harmony increased effect radius from 45 to 60. That's brilliant. That is really good, actually, because every instinct in the world says not to have all your units clumped up like an idiot. So being able to have some more space is good, because honestly, the distance was just not big enough. Your front and back line would have to be on top of each other, which means that if something charged your front line, they would be in your back line by accident, basically. It was just dumb. I hated it. I really hated Harmony. I'd make use of it so sparingly, because I knew that not making use of it meant that I could have better positioning and was more likely to win a battle than just relying on the bonuses. I just end up with a big mess of infantry and troops if I tried to make use of Harmony properly, which isn't fun or rewarding or strategic. The whole point of Harmony is that it gives you, it encourages you to have like proper troop discipline, right? Except if you went by that as a learning tool of how you should position your units, then every other army you control is going to suffer from that poor teacher, right? Because having units that close together, your front and back line that close together, is just dumb. It's just a bad idea. You're just allowing the enemy to get into your back line too easily. It's not a good idea. So yeah, more spacing. More spacing is good. Watch like any competitive multiplayer game and watch how spaced out all their units are. They're all overlapping fire and able to defend, and yeah, just you'll know, right? Harmony was teaching people bad things, so this helps a lot. So, Skyjunk, increased ammunition from 15 to 20. That's good, I think. And the cooldown for the Skyjunk bomb has been reduced, though that doesn't help. That doesn't really help. Because usually, if you've dropped a Skyjunk bomb on something, it's not going to be there in 30 seconds time. It would have run off, having been slaughtered. But if you need to reposition, it's going to take you 60 seconds to reposition. Because that's the biggest problem with Skyjunk. It is so slow. So slow. And it can only move in the direction it's facing. It doesn't start moving until it has turned. And I think that is the biggest issue. It doesn't just sort of start moving and turn as it moves. If that was the case, I think it would be great. But right now as it stands, if you just want to take like a minor step backwards and keep your facing, you know, just so you're still blasting out into the back line, but you're trying to drop bombs on the front line. But the enemy front line has pushed forward a bit, so you're trying to move backwards slightly. You have to turn around 180 degrees, move forwards, you know, backwards, but forwards, because they can only move forwards, and then turn round again. So you end up with about, you know, it feels like 2 minutes where they just can't shoot anything because they're so slow. So you miss out all of that time using the main weapons just to line up the bombs. And, you know, I don't think this cooldown would make any difference to that. And yeah, and the extra ammo, if the main problem is you can't shoot anything, is ugh. Also, in siege battles, if the enemy towers, you know, the towers that enemies build in siege battles, if they take a liking to the Skyjunk, you're going to lose it, because you can't run away. Like, it's that simple. So Skyjunk's got a lot of problems. It's brilliant when you know, when the planets align and you're, you know, everything is perfect. Yeah, it'll just rain hell and destruction upon everybody, and you'll have a great old time. But when it's not performing, there's nothing you can do about it. It feels, because it's just so unresponsive and so slow. That's a real problem. That's the biggest problem for me. You know, if it's in a bad spot, that's it. You just have to suck it up. See if you can destroy some stuff in the meantime. It feels very, I don't know, it feels like you're not in control, you know? You don't get to really move it. It's the same problem with the, like, unresponsiveness being an issue with other units at the moment. It just feels like you're not in control. And that's something that Skyjunks have. And Sky Lanterns, actually. The Sky Lanterns are a little bit different because they shoot out of every direction, and that's the only way they shoot. So shots now apply the shield breaker effect, which puts them in line with the crane gunners. I think they have shield breaker as well, don't they? So now the guns that they're using are in line with the guns that they use. So, you know, that's good. And speed increase from 30 to 35. I've been pushing for a rate of fire increase, but an interesting suggestion from my Discord was that they should be in larger units. So instead of a single model, it should be a small group of them, which I think would be really good, because then you could have like a fleet, you know, really feel like you had a sky fleet, without having to dedicate an entire army to just Sky Lanterns and Skyjunks. But having like a bunch of Sky Lanterns, you know, just pew-pewing away. That extra rate of fire from just having more guns to bear, I think would be really good, because I think that would be better for just whittling down like enemy infantry, because right now they do a lot of damage, but it's sort of overkill against infantry. So you do too much damage to a single guy. You know, you do a bunch of damage to a unit of infantry. You just killed one model. So you're basically just using it to try and snipe out heroes, but then it's not particularly good at that. You're better off using a cannon, because a cannon's just going to do more damage. So if I think a better rate of fire, somehow, either with more guns or each gun shoots quicker, I think that would help sort of whittle down like elite infantry, you know, just pick off chosen and stuff like that, which I think would give it a really interesting use case, that you couldn't just, you know, do better with a cannon. So I think that'd be interesting. That's my thoughts, but hopefully this will go some way to making it a little bit more useful, though I don't know. I don't see how big an impact this will have. The extra speed is good though. More speed, the better. Although I guess too much and it would make no sense, but still, you know, it's still a hot air balloon. But yeah, I guess that makes it better. So, general fixes. The Stone Gaze skill now increases armor instead of leadership for Terracotta Sentinels and Whooshing War Compasses. Yeah, perfect, because leadership on Terracotta Sentinels obviously didn't make any sense. They're unbreakable. So, a bit of an oversight. I'm assuming this is a problem with sort of design that just sort of evolves over time. You know, it's constantly tweaked. I imagine at some point Terracotta Sentinels weren't unbreakable. And there you go. That was it. You know, that was the issue. And so when they went, actually, you know what, they'd really be cool as excuse me, as unbreakable units, then they just did that and forgot about the skills. Because, you know, a lot of the time, I think when people are tweaking skills and stuff, they're just playing battles over and over again. They're not necessarily playing them in the context of a campaign to sort of figure out balance. Because campaign buffs just make things unbalanced. That's the point of them. You know, they're supposed to make something better than it should be. So it's not really great for balancing, right? But anyway, Grand Cathay. Multiplayer only. Grand Cathay is currently, and by far, the biggest underperformer in both ranked and matchmaking and domination tournaments. We think that Cathay is best when their army is large, such as in land battles, and the small starting armies in domination seem to be key to the struggles of the faction. So a lot of this was relating to the harmony. Because obviously it's balanced for harmony, right? The faction is balanced for harmony. But it means that enemies can just take over all the domination points because you can't split up enough without losing harmony because you don't have enough units to have them go off in pairs, right? So you have a big problem there. That, and if they're just going off in pairs rather than like big, you know, armies with lots of protection, then they can get into your backline super easily, right? As long as they have pairs of units. They can do much cheaper ones as well. Just throw some Nurglings into the front line and then jump on top of the ranged units with, hell, even just Nurglings are going to overperform against them, right? So you get real problems there. So the extra range for harmony, I think, should help, and the bigger armies should help too. So, you know, that's my thought, just intuitively. Like I said, I don't play any multiplayer anymore, so who knows? But from conversations I've heard, it sounds like this will address a lot of the issues. So we've also targeted the most underperforming units with fixes for their cost efficiency. The first of many changes we're considering for the future. That's a thing. With a lot of the changes being made to other factions, you can never be sure how much stuff needs to be changed, because making other stuff worse might make you a lot better without actually being changed at all. So it has to be incremental, you know, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So the Wuxing War Compass multiplayer cost has been reduced from 1100 to 800. That is significant. That's like an extra unit of peasant archers or something, you know, on top of that, which allows you to have bigger armies. As well as there just being, you know, domination battles have large armies now. So we'll see. Astromancers. Multiplayer cost of adding the Wuxing War Compass mount has been reduced from 950 to 400, so much cheaper spellcaster, really good. Lastly, to further boost the benefits of harmony and the faction's overall performance, we are slightly reducing the cost of peasant archers. Oh! Who are slightly too expensive in relation to how well they're performing. Peasant archers, multiplayer cost reduced from 450 to 400. So again, that surprises me they're as expensive as they are. I thought they'd be a lot cheaper. And I guess that's because I was thinking that they're just going to get mauled by Nurglings and killed in 3 seconds flat. So I think the fact that the peasant archers being as vulnerable as they were, just generally, by way of being peasant archers, and, you know, the fact that just generally it's very difficult to keep your units protected and capture the different points around the map, then yeah, it makes no sense they were as expensive as they were. So yeah, that's a good change, I think. Like I said, I think. I can see the reasoning, because I'm surprised that they were that expensive. So, you know. Tzeentch, barriers. When it comes to barriers, we know the community is concerned that heavy changes could have drastic consequences on Tzeentch's viability on the battlefield. Well, isn't that kind of the point of making changes to barrier? It's to change their viability, right? Anyway, so for now, we're only adjusting the recharge delay. When cycling units to restore their barriers, Tzeentch players will now have to spend significantly more time doing so. Okay, so that's good. So if you are persistent, you can either keep chasing them down, or, you know, get more ranged units to start shooting at them to delay the, you know, to further delay the recharging, or, yeah, a bunch of different tools you can adopt now. You have more time for, like, counterplay, and it also means that you aren't just going to get cycle charged to oblivion if a character is really on the ball, especially now with the better responsiveness. This sort of thing is going to be much better. Oh, and, oh my god, and the charge mechanics have changed, because now defenders won't be using the attacking charging unit's mass to determine damage. So charging is going to be more powerful now. The unit's going to be more responsive, so it'll be easier to control as well as doing more damage. So yeah, this is so necessary. Or else, I mean, they're going to do so much damage to you. This patch may have even just buffed Tzeentch, just generally because of that. So that's a bit rough. That's a bit rotten. So we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, Arcane Surge. With fixes to the Winds of Magic reserves, the ability to endlessly cast cheap spells, such as Blue Fire of Tzeentch, was drastically reduced, but not completely fixed. To correct this, we're reducing the values of Arcane Surge army ability. Reduce the Winds of Magic power reserves generated per second from 0.3 to 0.15. So you'll get magic back at half the rate, which means you won't be completely... you won't be completely refunded on your cheaper spells, so that's good. Warp Flame lowered the armor reduction debuff from 15 to 10. Yeah, I mean, minus 15% was pretty huge. That was a pretty big debuff for like so many of your units to have. It was a bit ridiculous, because that just makes cheap units so viable, because they don't need good armor piercing, because they just remove the armor of the thing they're attacking. So yeah, it was kind of a big deal. And reduced the weakness to fire debuff from 11% to 10%. Odd that it was 11%, such a strange number, because towards the end of Warhammer 2's lifespan, they made like huge sweeping changes to give like all of the status effects nice round numbers. So they were like easy to remember and to, you know, add together and multiply or whatever else, right? Just easy on the fly to go, oh yeah, 10%. Okay, I got two of those, 20% then. Rather being like 11% and 17%. Like, wait, what? Why? So, you know, it's odd they had an 11% in here, but oh well. Forsaken of Tzeentch. As the unit has significant barrier already, we've decided to remove the spell resistance enjoyed by the Forsaken of Tzeentch. This should bring them more in line with their counterparts from other Chaos factions. That's really cool. That is good. I like that. I like that they have brought that down. I feel like the Chaos warrior units tend to benefit a huge amount. Just like generally from the random buffs. Like Khorne's Warriors of Chaos are just so much better than any other Warriors of Chaos, because they get that huge melee attack bonus. So what is quite a tanky defensive unit is suddenly murdering everybody and can't be murdered in kind, because they're Warriors of Chaos, covered in armor and high melee defense. So, you know, giving them Frenzy on top of it makes them really powerful, which I love. But like, yeah, when you got a faction that just everyone has barriers, that's such a huge bonus, and to give other bonuses feels a bit, feels like a lot, you know? But anyway, Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch. Finally, we're looking to differentiate the Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch from the non-exalted version by making the unit more capable in ranged combat. Okay. To do this, we've increased both their ammo and attack range. Oh, right, so, wait, hang on, is there a Flamer of Tzeentch, or is it Flamers of Tzeentch that they're comparing it to? I can't remember how many units they've got. That's also a thing with the demon roster. There's 50 flavors of every single demon. just change the adjective and you got yourself a new unit. It's, yeah, it can be very difficult to get in your head how many of each sort of thing there are sometimes, but whatever. So, they have more ammo and range now, so fine. Tzeentch, for multiplayer only. Along with the Ogre Kingdoms, Tzeentch has been dominating both in ranked matchmaking and domination tournaments, which is why I'm very concerned that all the charge bonuses and all the rest of it, they're just going to do terrible things to our bodies. Although, charge reflection should be... Oh, I know, that's actually working less now, isn't it? Or it wasn't working at all, or is it was working all the time? Because now it works when people are braced. That's all I know. Anyway, I think it wasn't working. Or it was working all the time. I don't know. Who knows? So anyway, matchmaking domination tournaments, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch is way too good. Too cost-effective with the bonuses, so it's got an extra 200 cost. So, fair enough. Range for a unit as, like, powerful as Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch, because it's like 1,500 damage or something with a single hit. Giving that extra range just keeps it out of harm's way that much more. So it's able to just utilize all of that damage. So yeah, making it more expensive I think is incredibly important. Then Kislev. In addition to the global responsiveness improvements we've made to infantry units, we're also increasing the acceleration of the heavier Kislev infantry units, specifically which were an outlier in this area compared to other units. Today we're adjusting the following units. Okay, so Armoured Kossars, Streltsy and Zargard are all a little bit quicker at getting to speed. Their acceleration is up from 20 to 30, so fair enough. light war sleds. In their current state, light war sleds are nearly matching the performance of their heavy counterparts at a significantly lower cost. As such, we're making tweaks to their armour across the board and their cost in multiplayer setting. See below. The armour of the units has gone from 70 to 50, which I think is really good change, actually. I mean, the only thing that differed the light and heavy war sleds was armour. And the light war sleds had pretty good armour. Oh, and speed as well. But like the 70 armour for the light war sleds, I think you could put it up another 10 with tech. That's plenty for that sort of unit that has that sort of flexibility. So the heavy war spleds, apparently. The heavy war sleds felt a bit pointless. They were such huge additional upkeep for such small stat bonuses, you know, such insignificant stat bonuses. Because you didn't really need the armour, you didn't need them to be sat in combat like that. They had guns, and they were really good at charging in and out of combat. So they weren't really just sat there being murdered. So, you know, by heavy armour-piercing units especially, you know, just avoid them because they're nice and quick. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that makes more sense. Now they're actually vulnerable. You can pick away at them with archers and things now. But anyway, Elemental Bear. We'd like to boost the pick and success rate of the Elemental Bear, so we're giving it slightly more melee defense to guard against its main weakness. So melee defense has gone up from 20 to 30. I think that's good. Any heavy hitter is just going to get a pretty much guaranteed hit on it every time. And yeah, just bogging it down with halberds and stuff is going to tear it apart pretty quickly. So yeah, make it a little bit more survivable. That is kind of its job, just to be, you know, a big damage sponge, isn't it? So, you know, I think that's good. Little Grom. Little Grom units have been comparatively low play rate to others, so we've adjusted a few numbers to make them more viable on the battlefield. Increased damage from 145 to 160, and their AP damage has gone up by 20 from 580 to 600. Is that ranged damage? I'm assuming that's ranged damage, right? Because it should say that, though, because the thing is Little Grom can do melee as well, because, you know, it's driven about by bears. And bears are just good in a fight by default. So, yeah, I'm assuming that's ranged damage. Because, yeah, that's way too high for its melee. So, it is ranged, but it should clarify. Anyway, Kislev, multiplayer only. While Kislev is slightly underperforming in ranked matchmaking, according to our metrics, they seem respectably balanced in the tournament environment. There are a few units that do stand out, so we are looking to make smaller tweaks while observing the effects of the domination mode economy changes. So, light war sleds, yeah, see look, just, they're hugely good units. They've been nerfed and buffed. Sorry, they've been nerfed and nerfed. I know, I don't know how anyway, they've been nerfed twice, is what I'm saying. Multiplayer cost has been increased from 950 to 1100. So they're significantly more expensive and worse. So yeah, they were really overperforming. And the Elemental Bear is cheaper now. It was 2,200, now it's 2,000. 2,200 is way too high for an Elemental Bear. I would never spend that much money on it. Because that's the thing, they're great for a damage sponge, but they don't do much else, and I tend to prefer to actually kill the enemies that I'm fighting, rather than just waste their time. And for that amount of gold, you can get a lot done. So yeah, that's risky. I know there's going to be some metas where people are using them. I mean, they do have those breath attacks, which can be pretty good, but still. Nurgle. Feedback from the community highlighted that Nurgle units are too slow, making them vulnerable to larger armies with ranged firepower. To account for this, we've improved the mobility options of several units, alongside some additional tweaks. Interesting. So the Exalted Plague Bearers of Nurgle now have a little bit more ammunition. So it means they don't actually need to get into melee to be able to do a bit of damage. That is clever. I like that. I mean, they don't have the best range or anything, but it gives them another way of whittling enemies down. Instead of just standing around being murdered. Increased speed from 23 to 27. I mean, that is so slow. 23 is diabolically slow. It's why I don't enjoy playing them. I probably would have done a Nurgle campaign by now, if I could stomach waiting so long for them to do anything. I find slow armies just so tedious. It's why even in my Khorne campaign I'm not getting Chaos Warriors, even though I was just saying how great they are. They take weeks to get into combat, so I just can't be bothered. I'll just let Bloodletters do the work. They do it just as well. So, you know, increased speed from 23 to 27 for Plague Bearers, as well as the Exalted ones. The Plague Drones of Nurgle, Death Heads, they have more ammunition as well now. So again, just more ways to whittle down enemies. Also, the extra ammunition, I think they do poison damage, right? So this should help slow down the enemies as well. I'm pretty sure, so that's good news. Kugath Plague Father. Kugath has also seen relatively little use, so we're boosting a few stats to help him live up to his legendary status. Because yeah, I think he's just a massive target, old Kugath. Massive target. Although he does have the ranged attacks, which I imagine make him fairly useful, but because he's so slow, there's no hope of avoiding cannon fire or anything. So, you know, that's the thing. If you had any cannons, I think, although you can't have cannon skirmish, I think they would do enough damage before they got caught that it would be worth bringing them anyway against Nurgle, which is sort of ridiculous. But anyway, increased ammunition count from 22 to 35, and increased the healing rate provided by the Nurgle infestation ability from 1% to 0.2% health per second. That's backwards. Increased the healing rate from 1% to 0.2. I'm assuming it's supposed to be 0.1 to 0.2, right? I don't know the numbers for these abilities, you know, what they are now, so I can't say what is the typo there. But either way, it's better. I'd assume double. Nurgle, multiplayer only. Nurgle's been doing well in ranked matchmaking, however, they've struggled in the domination tournament environment. We are looking to increase the size of Nurgle's armies in 2 ways. Through the changes to domination mode, listed below, we'll get to those, and by reducing unit costs. Good. Good. That way they can... So, how I tend to win against skirmish-heavy armies with Skaven, how I used to win when I played multiplayer ages ago, is I'd go all in with the summons and cheap units, so I'd have a full 20 stack, and it basically got to a point where, like, if I was fighting Wood Elves or something, they'd run out of ammo before they could kill my army. So you just flood them with Skaven. And, yeah, they just can't deal with the numbers. And I think that would work with a slow-plodding army like Nurgle as well. You'd really have to, like... You'd have to work hard to prioritize your targets. And if you have a much bigger army, as Nurgle, you can use spacing. The spacing of your armies to create distance between, you know, all your chaff out in the front and your vital units that you're trying to keep out of harm's way while you slowly sort of pen in your enemies and things. So there's potential here for sure. I think Nurgle could be a very cool army. It's just such a shame that in a real-time strategy game with large maps like we have, just being the slowest army in the game just immediately disadvantages you in just the crazy, like the hugest way. It's such a massive disadvantage, especially when you're stuck with that speed. There aren't fast units you can call upon, so it's rotten. It's very rotten for him. Ha, rotten, because Nurgle. Anyway, so we believe this will improve their efficacy versus heavily ranged units. Plague drones in Nurgle. Multiplayer cost has been reduced by 100, so that's good. Just, you know, something that can get to those units and do some counterplay. The Plague drones of Nurgle with death heads, their cost has gone down by 100 as well. Plague bearers of Nurgle, they've gone down by 50. Exalted Plague bearers of Nurgle, their cost has gone down by, wow, 150. Great Unclean Ones now count as rare single entity for the sake of unit caps. Which again, I don't know if this means that they're getting more of them or fewer. But whatever. Slaanesh, in update 1.1, we are fixing several issues with charges, bracing, and impact damage. We feel it's too risky to touch the Slaaneshi units without having a good understanding of what effects these will have. Like I said with the Tzeentch stuff, with cycle charging, you know, all the main game changes. Slaanesh is designed for cycle charging in a way that, you know, not even Tzeentch is. Tzeentch's barrier allows to be in combat for a little bit without taking damage. You know, if they can just do overwhelming damage with spells and stuff, then they can just carry on fighting through. Slaanesh is weak. They are very flimsy. They do all their damage on the charge, and they can just get in and out of combat so fast because they are so fast. With charges doing actual work now, they might immediately be the best faction in the game. You know, the most competitive. So, very scary. Especially with, like, domination as well. They can get to capture points really quickly, and just, yeah, it could be a nightmare for people, I think, now that they work properly. Should be really fun. So, and Slaanesh multiplayer. As with the above, we'll continue observing them to see how they perform, because, yeah, they'll be a lot better. However, the larger starting armies in domination will help opposing armies cover their flanks more effectively. Oh, that's actually a good point. So, it's like I said before, with Harmony, you're going off in pairs, but with Slaanesh being so quick, they don't have to go off in pairs. They can take their entire army to one point, then the next, then the next, then the next, right? And still basically visit all four you know, is it 4 capture points? Whatever. They can visit all the capture points as quickly as the other player would have done, but one at a time. They can just catch stuff out on its own and deal with it before moving on to the next. So, yeah, real scary. Anyway, Khorne. We are happy with the state of Khorne, outside the changes made to the Demon Prince. And we'll continue monitoring how the faction performs after the balance changes this month. One small change added with this update. Dogfighting technology now provides the Strider attribute to Flesh Hounds while increasing their charge bonus. That's fun, although wasn't that the one that gave them the anti-large bonus? Because if they've got rid of the anti-large bonus, I'm going to scream, because they were like the best anti-large solution early in the game. So, you know, and that was with technology, so that was like an investment of time into, and skulls, to get that. So I hope that's not touched the anti-large bonus. That'd be very sad if that has. But anyway, multiplayer. So Domination game mode. As the Domination mode is new to Total War Warhammer 3, we've begun eagerly waiting to see how it's received and how it can continue to evolve from where it is now. So this I'm very interested in, even though I don't play it, because I want to play it, but I couldn't be bothered before because it seemed a bit wacky, so I couldn't be bothered to learn it because I knew it would get changes, or people would just demand the old battles back and it would, you know, disappear into obscurity. I'm glad they're fixing it. Again, I always like them to fix upon interesting things they're doing rather than retreat from interesting design spaces that they've made themselves. So this is good. Tweaks are good. I like it. So we're already working from the notion that Domination mode available now will be drastically different from the Domination mode that exists years from now. Oh yeah, certain of it. And have included several changes to 1.1 to start the journey down that path. There are a few areas of feedback where we're beginning. Low map count. We've added 2 new maps and we'll continue working to include other existing maps in the very near future. That's lovely. And a comeback mechanic, that's the name of it I couldn't think of. We want there to be opportunities to come back after the first engagement, so we're removing the damage-based income mechanic to support that goal. Oh, yeah, because you get income from what? Holding points, doing damage. And also, if your enemy takes a bunch of points, then you have the comeback mechanic. We just get a boost to try and get back in the game. But yeah, getting rid of the damage-based one. It seems like an interesting one. The supply resource. We want to reduce the farming of enemies in lieu of seizing and holding the capture points in the early game. So that's really good. So we're increasing the supply trickle and adjusting how supplies are obtained in the game mode. So yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good because I think if you're going to add objectives, then I think those objectives need to be pushed for, or else, you know, you may as well just say first one to kill the other guy wins, right? And that's kind of what that farming was a result of. So another large-scale change we're looking to make, based on feedback, is to speed up the game mode as a whole. To do this, we're focusing on a few changes to the numbers of starting units initially available. We can see how having so few units to start doesn't feel as epic as land battles. Yeah, tiny pool of units. So factions which rely on larger formations or static styles of play end up being hurt by low starting numbers, particularly against high mobile forces. Yeah. We're increasing the main army budget, starting supplies, and base income to help address the above problems. Very cool. I really like that. Sounds really good. Yeah, these sound like good changes. But again, I haven't played a lot of it, or any, so I can't be completely certain. But from observations, hearing other people's feedback, all the rest of it, this appears to be going the right direction. Yeah, let me know. Let me know, right? If you are one of the old multiplayer bunch that, you know, I've skirmished with in the past, right? You know, someone I can trust to know multiplayer. Let me know if these changes are fixing it, okay? Let me know in the comments. Thank you. Or on Discord. Join my Discord, link in the description. Finally, we also introduced a bug fix to take away refunds from withdrawn summoned units. This will allow us to more accurately monitor the balance of summoner units, such as cultists, seeing as the income exploit will be gone. Yeah, fair. Yeah, that was the bug I'd heard about. Yeah, people were summoning a unit and then refunding them, which is ridiculous. So, especially with cultists, when you can summon flipping bloodthirsters and stuff. So, Domination, new maps. So, 2 land battle maps are returning from Total War Warhammer 2 to be used in Domination. And these are interesting maps as well, because the geography is a little bit kooky. Such as this one, Arnheim's. You have the upper bit with all the forests, so very thin roads up at the top. So the forest is like half of the top. And the road is the other half, so a lot of ambush potential and just hidden dangers, you know, cover from missile fire. And then at the bottom there was much more space, but of course you're lower down, so things can shoot at you from above, charge downhill into you. It's, you know, so more space maneuver, but more perils, and also potential ambush opportunities too. But I really like that. I really like this map. I really love this in Warhammer 2. And the battle for Itza. So this was a campaign, you know, a quest battle map. And it's really cool. It's multi-tiered. This was the one that was Marcus Wulfhart's campaign map. Well, quest battle map for the final battle, I believe, of his campaign, I think. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's really cool. You know, just multiple tiers. And yeah, cool open spaces. Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting for domination, for sure. That'd be good, because you can sort of approach any node from any direction, which I think is pretty interesting. So, the army fund distribution between the main army and the reinforcements has been rebalanced from 40-60 to 50-50. Fair enough. Okay, I like that. I like that. So yeah, that starting army, more potential for some better units in there, or more units, whichever. We've adjusted the additional supplies a player gains when they are trailing in a domination match. So plus 5 supplies per second when trailing by 1,000 tickets, and plus 10 supplies when trailing by 2,000 tickets. Other changes to how supplies are gained: added 500 initial supplies to the default stockpile. See, that I think is a really interesting approach, because that means that you obviously have your starting army out, and the stuff you have in reserves, you can obviously take or leave, right? Some of those units you will never even bother getting any of in order to fight. But it basically means with that additional like 500 at the start, you have more flexibility to see what the enemy has brought along and then react to it. So you can begin to counter your opponent's strategies like straight away, which I think is really cool. Or, you know, hold it in reserve to see how they try and combat your army. So it could be some interesting mind games of like who's going to bring in reinforcements first and sort of show their hand, which I think is really cool. I think that's really fun. So increase the base supply income from 16 to 20 per second. Remove the supply income provided via damage to enemy units. Obviously less income that way, but more income generally. So, you know, general fixes. We've temporarily disabled the ability to use the manual targeting system in multiplayer battles, seeing that it can be exploited to ignore the reload time of certain units. Interesting that they've done that. We are reviewing the system in greater depth and will look to restore it later on. So, for anyone who doesn't know, the manual targeting system is for artillery. So if you hold Alt and then right-click, you'll be able to target the ground, basically, which can be quite useful. You know, it means you can just sort of like fire at a choke point, knowing that a bunch of units are sort of streaming into it, which is really nice. Yeah, really useful to have that. But there's a weird thing where you could basically go into... sorry, hang on. No, the manual actually, I think there have been bugs on both of these things, which is why I'm getting confused. So usually if you do that, it'll fire, and then if you give another order, it'll fire again. That used to be a bug. But I think the manual targeting system is actually the other bug with artillery, where if you press, is it insert, I think? You take manual control over artillery, you can click to fire, and then you can press insert again, order them to fire, and they'll fire again, because they have separate reloads for when you're in control of it, when the other person's in control of it. So there's a bunch of weird exploits with, like, making reload times a funny joke, you know, a funny suggestion. Just, you know, got more guidelines than actual rules. There have been a few things, you know, relating to artillery there. So just disabling some functionality. In multiplayer, because it's exploitative, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not sure how many people actually used that stuff. I certainly never did, because, well, it's cheating. But, yeah, I'm sure some people used it. But anyway, players in ranked battles will no longer be able to load an army from the Demons of Chaos. Okay? Are they not allowed? Demons of Chaos? I don't know. I guess... Yeah, I guess they wouldn't be, right? Because that allows you to have any demons you want, right? So I guess they don't let you do that, which I guess tracks. So fix an issue where Be'lakor's Blade of Shadow ability did not have an associated cost in custom or multiplayer battles, and the Palace of Slanesh survival battle fix an issue where all players would lose connection following the courtesan cutscene, and the Palace of Slanesh survival battle fix an issue where players would lose connection after completing the battle. Well, alright then. And then localization. This is probably the most important thing. For Brazilian and Portuguese, Fixed a line during the first mission of the Something Rotten and Kiss-led multiplayer campaign that displayed in Spanish. Guys, the person who wrote this is probably thrilled, because he might be Portuguese. Anyway, that's it. That's it. We've got through it, guys. We've got through it. Need help? If you experience any issues after downloading the update, please take a moment to visit our support site. So bear that in mind. Yeah, just verify files. Usually fixes stuff if the update doesn't work. But yeah, there we go. That's all of the things. We did it. How long was that? 1 hour and 40 minutes. So no time at all. I was expecting 8 hours. But there you go. That's all of the things. Generally, I am very positive about this patch. It's addressed a bunch of stuff that I didn't even think about. A lot of crashes seem to have been addressed, which is really good. As much as I will probably never encounter them, having the prologue fixed in so many places I think is brilliant, because, I mean, as someone who is a big fan of this franchise, I want more people to be playing it, and I think the fewer people bounce off it because the prologue gave them a pretty sorry impression of things, the better. So that's really nice. I think that's really good, especially for new players. You know, you really want them to get a warm welcome. And yeah, and just so many other changes. Things like charge bonuses working better now. I love using cavalry. I adore using cavalry, but you'll probably notice, if you've been watching any of the campaigns that I've been playing recently, I haven't been using them because they all have been underperforming. They all suck because of all the charge problems that they've had. They've just not been able to hit their targets very well. So, and the lack of responsiveness means they just get stuck in combat for ages, and oh yeah, cavalry has been terrible lately. So some of my favourite units to control have just been obsolete. They've just not been worth the effort at all, because they've been broken. So now maybe I'll start using more cavalry again, which would be really great fun for me. Having like a whole theme, I don't know, a whole branch of units in the game be just a waste of time. That's what it felt like, you know, and that's not good. That's not good. So this opens up way more opportunities for different playstyles, different army compositions, a bunch of stuff. So yeah, really good. I think the changes to the Chaos Realm trait stuff, as much as I said in the previous video, I want them to do something different with it. That will come later, if we keep on them about it, rather than going, hooray, it's all fixed, okay? I want to see them do something interesting with that mechanic, because that's the thing, in every sort of Warhammer RPG thing, chaos corruption had interesting pros and cons to it, you know? That's how chaos gets you. That's one of the main themes of Warhammer, you know? It's propaganda. They promise you the world, but really it's them who benefit. So for everything that they give you, they take something away. It's all very, you know, Faustian bargain, but that's how they tempt you. It's propaganda. What do you want? They'll give it to you. There's a cost, you know? Lol, you have an extra tongue on your eyes, you know, but you can shoot lasers with them, you know, whatever. Just stupid nonsense, and that's great. And I want them to explore that stupid nonsense of just like, yeah, you might have a tentacle for an arm, but it really helps you rip your enemies apart. But people think you smell bad, so they're not going to go near you. Just weird, kooky stuff is what I want to see with that mechanic. I want to see pros and cons. I don't want to just it be, oh, it's negative, and it's going to be frustrating to deal with, and it will derive no fun at all. But less often. That's yeah, not good enough. Not good enough, that one. But I've spoken at length about it, so go check out that video. Linked below, probably. Maybe. I don't know. If not, someone link it, I'll pin it. Alright? I've been here for 1.5 hours, and I want to go to bed. So, 1 hour and 45 minutes. So guys, if you enjoyed this, comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what your favourite changes are here. If there's anything that I've sort of breezed over thinking, oh, well, alright, fine, whatever. That you're like, no, this is game-changing, because all systems are intertwined in a game like this. It's why Slanesh isn't getting touches yet, you know? Raw stats aren't the only thing. So if you've noticed something that I've overlooked, you know, something that has a bigger impact than I might have suggested, or if you think I'm just wrong, you know, let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts, because a lot has changed. It's a very meaty patch. I can't wait to play it. So anyway, guys, comment, like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Have a good one.